At dawn, when the city still held its breath and the skyline looked like a promise no one had claimed yet, Wyatt Sullivan stepped into Blackwell Tower, thinking it was just another emergency call. Another loose wire. Another problem no one else wanted to deal with so early. He was a single father, a maintenance worker, a man who had learned to live quietly and fix what was broken without ever being seen. He believed mistakes were dangerous things, especially for people like him. One wrong moment could cost a job, a home, a sense of safety. He had no idea that a single accidental second, frozen in silence behind a frosted glass door, would become the moment that cracked open two guarded lives and changed them forever. Wyatt had been invisible by design for most of his adult life. After his wife died, invisibility became survival. He learned how to take up as little space as possible, how to be useful without being noticed, how to do his job well enough that no one asked questions. For 3 years at Blackwell Tower, that strategy had worked. He fixed flickering lights after hours. He replaced filters before anyone complained. He clocked in, clocked out, and went home to the only person who truly mattered, his daughter Emma. Every morning started with cereal, rushed lunches, and quiet reassurances that everything was fine even when it wasn't. That morning was no different until his phone buzzed at 5:43 a.m. Emergency electrical issue. Executive floor. Urgent. He kissed Emma's forehead, told her the neighbor would take her to school, and grabbed his toolbox. Emma barely looked up. She trusted him. That trust weighed more than any tool he carried. The executive floor always felt unreal to Wyatt, like a different climate existed above the rest of the building. Cleaner air, softer light. Money that hummed in the walls. When he reached the private office at the end of the hall, the nameplate caught his eye for a brief second. Vivian Blackwell, CEO. He knocked. No answer. The work order was clear. He used his keycard and stepped inside, already focused on the problem he was there to solve. Then the door behind him opened. What followed lasted less than a second, but it etched itself into memory. Vivian Blackwell stood there, mid-change, startled, human, unguarded in a way Wyatt had never seen her in public. Their eyes met. Dead silence. No warning. No buffer. Just shock. Wyatt turned away instantly, heart slamming into his ribs, words tumbling out wrong and panicked. The kind of words that came from fear, not thought. In that moment he saw his entire life collapsing into consequences he couldn't afford. His job. His stability. Emma. But nothing happened. No yelling. No accusation. Just quiet. When she finally spoke, calm and controlled, something unexpected happened. She noticed him. Not as a maintenance worker, not as a problem, as a person who had chosen decency in an impossible moment. Wyatt fixed the issue and left, convinced he'd narrowly escaped disaster. Vivian stayed behind, staring at the door long after he was gone, unsettled in a way she hadn't been in years. In a world where people took, stared, assumed, and pushed, he had turned away. He had apologized without defensiveness. He had treated her like a person instead of a position. She told herself it meant nothing. She had a company to run. 2 weeks later, Wyatt was reassigned to the executive floor. At first, he thought it was punishment disguised as opportunity. Being closer to power felt dangerous, but the work itself drew him in. Systems were more complex. Expectations were higher. He found himself caring in a way he hadn't before. Not because of the title attached to the office, but because someone worked there who noticed effort instead of demanding it. He started coming in early, fixing small things before they became problems, adjusting lights, balancing temperature, quiet improvements no one asked for. Vivian noticed, even if she didn't say it out loud. For the first time in years, her office felt less like a battlefield and more like a place where things worked because someone cared. Then the whispers started. People noticed the proximity. They filled silence with assumptions. Wyatt felt it in sideways glances, in jokes that weren't really jokes, in warnings from supervisors who cared more about optics than truth. He understood the danger immediately, not to himself alone, but to her. Reputation was currency at this level, and rumors could bankrupt lives. So he did what he had always done. He removed himself. He requested a transfer back to general maintenance. No explanation. No confrontation. Just distance. Vivian felt the absence instantly. The office didn't just malfunction again. It felt hollow. She realized too late that someone had been making her days easier without asking for credit. Someone who had stepped back to protect her without ever telling her why. That realization cut deeper than the rumors ever could. Both of them returned to their separate routines, pretending distance solved everything. But absence has a way of making truth louder. Wyatt felt it at night when Emma asked if he was okay. Vivian felt it in the quiet hours of an office that no longer felt cared for. Weeks passed. Pressure mounted. A deal collapsed. The board questioned her leadership. For the first time in her career, Vivian felt alone in a way success couldn't insulate her from. Late one night, staring out over the city, she understood something fundamental. Power had surrounded her with people who wanted something. Wyatt had been the rare exception. She made a decision. Not as a CEO, as a person. She asked to see him. When Wyatt walked into her office again, he expected reprimand or finality. Instead, he found honesty. She told him she knew why he had left. She told him she understood the rumors. And for the first time, she acknowledged the quiet cost of always doing the right thing. Wyatt didn't ask for anything. He never had. He simply explained who he was, what he carried, and why he had chosen distance over defense. Vivian listened, really listened, without interruption. That conversation didn't turn into romance overnight. It didn't solve everything, but it changed the direction of both their lives. Wyatt was reinstated, openly, transparently, with boundaries clear and respect enforced. The rumors died when truth stood still long enough to be seen. Vivian began leading differently, not from fear of perception, but from clarity of values. She started noticing the invisible people who kept her world running. Months later, the building felt different. Not just functional, but human. Wyatt still fixed lights, still replaced filters, still went home to Emma every night. But he walked taller now, not because of where he worked, but because he knew his integrity had weight. Vivian still ran a powerful company, but she did it knowing strength didn't mean isolation. Sometimes, the smallest mistake isn't a mistake at all. Sometimes, it's the moment life uses to interrupt the story you're telling yourself and offer a better one instead. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that quiet integrity still matters and that doing the right thing can change more than you know, Take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that even in the coldest places, one human choice can make everything warmer. Period.